on the Aggie Sports Network. From Learfield, Aggie basketball has been brought to you by Sports Academy and Racket Club. Your club, your results, your life. Zions Bank. For 150 years of helping you succeed, Zions Bank is for you. Ford. Build Ford proud. Also by Stokes. Stokes Trucking. Doing the right thing since 1979. Welcome to Aggie Postgame. From the All-in-One Flooring America radio booth, here's Scott Jerrod.
Final tonight here in Logan, 95-83. Utah State gets the victory in a game that did not feel like a 12-point game there in that second half, as Montana was not about to just concede this game to Utah State. They fought the Aggies tooth and nail, and the Aggies, I think, are a better team for it tonight.
Oh, absolutely. Great opportunity for the Aggies to have a team push them in the second half. Cut it to 2, is that right?
I think it got down to one maybe.
1 or 2 points. We'd have to go back and look at that. But did a great job of pushing them, and then Utah State responding. Big 3 by Mason Falsla. Big 3 by Drake Allen. Step back by Ian Martinez. So guys stepped up, and the guys that you want to produced when they needed to in the second half. So really good sign for Utah State.
Today's post-game show brought to you by Farm Bureau agent Brandon Jensen. Contact him at 435-752-4800. It's your future. Let's protect it. Well, the Aggies, not a bad way to start the season, 4-0. Didn't quite get to 100 tonight, 5 points shy, but I think that's okay. They're just happy to come out here with a win because there's a lot of stats here that do not go Utah State's way. Montana shoots a better percentage, 52-50. Montana out-rebounded Utah State, 37-33, including 15 offensive rebounds to only 12 offensive rebounds for Utah State. Second chance points, Montana 17, Utah State 13. Points in the paint. 42-40 in favor of Montana. But here's where Utah State pulled away. Turnovers. Montana turned it over 18 times, and Utah State got 27 points off of those 18 turnovers.
Huge. And a number of those led to free throw line. And Utah State solid at the free throw line. Ian Martinez phenomenal at the free throw line. Made a huge difference tonight when you look at those stats.
Time for our post-game conversation with Jerrod Calhoun, the head coach of Utah State. And, Coach, this ends up being a 12-point game, but for a good chunk of that second half, it didn't feel like a 12-point game. These guys came in and fought you tooth and nail.
Yeah, I mean, you got to think about the week we've had. We've had Fish out every other day. Seems like every other drill, he's out. We got Alban Gadaretsky out the last 4 days. You got mismatched lineups, right? You got no cohesion the last 3 days. Tried to warn them. This team is going to win the Big Sky, in my opinion. I think they're really good because they're tough. They have a coach that's very seasoned.
Yeah.
And they have DNA, right? When you have winning DNA over there, and they played the second-best schedule in the country. So it was good for us. We need adversity, but we need healthy bodies. Got to get Fish back. And certainly, hopefully, Alban passes the test tomorrow because you can't rely on freshmen in those big games like that. But I thought Jordy Barnes at times gave us really good minutes. But the two guys that carried us are the guys that know how to close, and that's Ian Martinez and Mason Falsla. But I thought it was an abominable performance defensively. I thought, we got a lot to clean up. They shot 51% from the field, 33 at one point. I think at halftime it was 60 and 50. It's a recipe for disaster. So I think we'll get better rhythm here the next 3 days. Hopefully it's a wake-up call. There has to be a standard, right, each game. But Montana, you got to give him credit. I like their coach. I think he's a very, very good coach.
Defensively, when you talk about cleaning it up, it felt like you had a really hard time up at the top keeping guards in front of you. You made a game adjustment and pulled back the zone to where you were just meeting them at the three-point line. Talk to me a little bit about the trouble of keeping Whitney and Money Williams in front of you at the guard line.
Yeah, I thought, throughout the game, you try to take, things that they're doing and try to take it away. So I felt like we were begging our players to play defense, Spence, and that's not a great sign, right? So we went a little man-to-man. We went 14, which is switching 1 through 4, and I thought that gave them a different look. But a lot of breakdowns up top because we didn't guard the ball. It doesn't matter if you play man or zone. People are going to say, oh, your zone didn't work tonight. Well, no, it doesn't matter if you play man or zone. If you don't guard the basketball up top, And that starts with, Drake Allen. Honestly, he's been in the red quite a bit for us this year defensively. He's got to guard better. You know what I mean? Like that's really what it comes down to. Jordy Barnes plays because he's one of the best guys up top, and he's not as physical, but he knows how to play.
I was going to bring up Drake. You could tell he was struggling in the first half and struggled defensively throughout the game, but I thought as the game went on in that second half, he did have some key moments to really help you pull away.
I put the ball in his hands on that high pick and roll. This is a whole new level for him. You got three guys that are coming from the A-Sun, so and him, down at Utah Valley, it's a different level of basketball. This is a different environment, different crowd. He's going to get better and better, but you just got to go make plays. Like he's like telling me they're going under. Well, shoot the ball. Like when you set a ball screen and a guy goes under, shoot it, right? Like I don't think a lot of these guys had the freedom, right? Like wherever whoever coached them, but like we have to make plays. When the defense goes under a ball screen, shoot the three. It's simple. Like we do it every day, but you got to have confidence. And I think sometimes he's a little timid.
Well, and with that, the one thing I'd say is positive is you want guys to impact the game, and it doesn't necessarily have to be points. Carson Templin impacts the game in so many ways. I felt like Akano at times impacts the game. Tonight, Mason was impacting it, but it was positive to see because, honestly, Drake, like you said, first half you didn't even know if he was there, offensive or defensively, but you like to see him come impact the game. Guy who's really impacting the game on the offensive end is Ian Martinez. What's working so well for him right now?
Well, we said all along, like, he's so good at shooting the basketball. He's so good at coming off pin downs. He plays with great pace, Spence. That's what I think it is. Like, he's got a really good pace about his game. We've taught him how to read screens. We're in ball screens, pin down screens. We're getting him in little different actions, and he's doing a really, really good job. So we have to continue to get him the ball. And I thought Mason was the difference tonight. He had a look in his eye that we weren't going to lose. He wasn't going to let us lose. He's used to this environment. He knows he had to step up and make plays. And, those two pretty much carried our offense tonight. Yeah. 9 assists and 12 turnovers, and we get 95 points. I don't know if I've ever seen that. I'm just embarrassed because, like, we spend so much time teaching these guys how to play. To get 9 assists, 12 turnovers, it'll drive me nuts all night, so I won't sleep the next couple days. But, it's a little adversity that was thrown at us, but we got to play better, certainly, against Iowa.
Yeah, no doubt. Coach, we'll let you go.
All
Appreciate it.
Thanks,
you.
guys. Yep.
Good.
See you.
Good luck
against
Iowa.
Thank you.
Jerrod Calhoun.
You were there. You watched the game. Or you heard it all here on KVNU. So now it's your chance to give your thoughts and ask your questions about the action as KVNU Aggie Game Day continues with Aggie Call. The phone line is 435-753-KVNU. The text line is 435-554-1175. KVNU Aggie Game Day is brought to you by Daryl's Appliance, Advanced Heating and Air, Primrose Home Care and Hospice, Blue Sky Restoration, Advanced Garage Door, The Logo Shop, Advanced Fireplace and Stove, Golden Spike Electric, Alpine Home Medical, S.E. Needham Jewelers, My Mattress, Riverwoods Conference Center, Cash Valley Bank, Aegis Healthcare, Jarrett's Fine Jewelry, Les Olson IT, Adams Wealth Advisors, DD Auto and Salvage, LSS Insurance Agency, Cafe Sabor, The Sportsman. It's KVNU Aggie Call with J.D. Walker and Stockton Jukes.
Welcome to KVNU Aggie Call. The Aggies handling business tonight. Not that 100-point, but 95-83 over the Montana Grizzlies. We want to hear your thoughts. You can sound off right now. We are live in the KVNU studios. 435-753-5868. That's 753-KVNU. Or you can hit us on the text line 435-554-1175. That's 435-554-1175. Stockton, we kind of went over our quick winners and losers. I'm going to let you go ahead and hit the winners first. We discussed them pregame. 3 winners we saw tonight that stood out for our Aggies.
Yeah, first and foremost, it's got to be Ian Martinez. I mean, a 32-point night from Ian, and he is just running away as the scoring leader for this team. He sets a new Utah State record with 16 straight free throws made. That breaks the record that J.C. Carroll set against New Mexico State in 2007. So it's been about 17 years that record has stood. He also had 7 rebounds and 3 assists. So really good, solid showing for him. Not the greatest night from the field, only going 6 for 15, but he did go 4 for 8 from 3. So the the outside shot has been working for Ian all season long, and if he's going to be that productive at the stripe, you may as well just send him into the lane, and he'll pick up the fouls too. So that's a great first star for your Utah State Aggies. And then Mason Falslev too with 25 points, 11 for 17 from the field, 2 for 4 from 3, 1 for 2 from the stripe, but had those 3 rebounds as well for Utah State. No assists, but definitely picked up that scoring click this evening that he's kind of been waiting for that big 20-plus point game, so it was good to see him break out with that. Did have 5 fouls, though, was getting pretty aggressive, and Utah State, I definitely think, didn't expect this level of a physical game that they got out of Montana, but like Calhoun pointed out there at the end of the game, like, this is probably the team that's going to win the Big Sky. It's a good basketball team. This is, I would say, now that we've gone and watched it, probably their hardest test of the season, which I didn't expect it going in, but they needed it. They got bumped around, and it's pretty nice when you can sit here and consider a 95-point, 12-point win subpar.
Yeah.
So you're
really
in a good
nice
spot there. But then who are you tabbing for our third start tonight?
I think we've got to go with Carson Templin.
Yeah.
I think he got the start tonight, his first career start, if I got that right. Had some points, had some big points, putbacks, but also was big on the glass.
Yeah, he had, 12 points, 4 for 5 from the field, 4 for 9 from free throw, and that's been his struggle point, basically, in his whole career is the free throw shooting, so probably going to need some reps at the stripe during practice going forward. But he had 9 rebounds tonight, which led Ian Martinez by 2. So Utah State, that 33 rebound number, still below what Montana ended up putting out, and that's something we touched on at the beginning of pregame is the rebounding. That's something they should probably be going after in recruiting in the transfer portal this spring, because you can't really be losing those rebound battles to teams that you outsize across the floor.
So going to the phone line right now. Sorry, Stockton, I'm pushing some buttons, making sure everything's going to work. Jack called into Aggie Call. Jack, what do you see tonight from our Utah State Aggies? The good stuff, the bad stuff. What you got?
It was a really fun game. We needed a test, and we got it. I think we passed the test, but I think Montana has taught our future opponents some things. One is that if you drive the ball into our matchup zone, it's much more productive than passing around the perimeter. And so I know our coaching staff will work on that, but they were very effective driving the ball into the matchup zone instead of trying to pass around the perimeter. And so that's something we need to work on. The other thing is they played a very, as you said, a very physical, tough man-to-man defense. And future opponents are going to pick up on this. And I know our coaching staff will go to work on it, but we're going to have to adjust. But we needed a good test, and we got it tonight. Montana's a good team.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Calhoun hit it on the head where, he was warning these guys going into the game. This is a good team. This is going to be a test. I agree with you that they needed it. They needed to see how they responded to adversity. But, yeah, it was surprising, I think, too. And you might be able to attribute part of this to the game plan against Montana because you know that they go out with, usually a 4-guard set. And they're a little smaller across the floor. They'll pass that ball around. They'll pass the perimeter. So Utah State might have been setting up for that, expecting that with that man zone. But I think it's definitely a good point and something to keep in mind as you go to Kansas City on Friday, because you're going to get a physical Big Ten team in a technical neutral game. But like JD was saying earlier today, it's not really a neutral site game because it's pretty close to Iowa. So I agree with you there.
Yeah. But it was a fun game and great to see our team rise to the occasion because Montana came in here aggressive as heck. And so we met the challenge, but we learned some things to work on too.
Yep, and there will be plenty more challenges in the future. So thanks for calling in today, Jack.
Hey, Jack, thank you very much. The text line open right now, 435-554-1175. Also, 435-753-KVNU. That's 753-5868. Going back to the phone lines now. Caller, you're on the air with Aggie Call.
Is that me?
Yes, sir, that is you. I basically did that. Here, let me show you how you bailed me out real quick, just a little behind, because I got everything going on here. I forgot your first name, so that's just my generic way. Yeah, thanks for calling in, man.
Yeah, no problem. So, yeah, just driving home back to Salt Lake. Really fun game, a lot more interesting than I thought it would be. Good to see us fight through some adversity. Montana plays like it's football. I didn't care for that, but whatever. We got through it. And, happy for the win. Early season for the refs. They suck more now than usual. But anyway, happy for the win, and I'll just shut up and listen to you guys. Thanks.
Hey, safe travels as you're heading back there to Salt Lake City, and thanks for making the trip up here to the Spectrum on a Monday night. We appreciate you, man.
You ought to know JD's on the same page as you, too. He was pointing out those 45 personal fouls at the end of the game as a pretty big eyebrow raiser.
Yeah.
So, very physical, unexpected, and, not a huge fan of that style of play myself, but I do think it was good for them to get hit in the mouth a couple times, so...
753-5868. That's 753-KVNU. Stockton went through his winners, Ian Martinez, Mason Falslev, and Carson Templin. So the losers on the other side, I'm going to go first with the referees. 45 personal fouls called. I get it. I understand. It's Monday. You're going up against the Cowboys and the Texans on Monday Night Football. The officials wanted their names out there a little bit. But 45, could you imagine a football game with 45 flags in it?
I mean, this game genuinely could have been over at like 8:45.
Yeah, even sooner than that, 8:15. But the referees wanted to get that time, and then we had to review a couple of things. So that was my first loser of the night. Second, we watched the TV telecast in the conference room here at the mothership, and anybody who is listening to that, I feel bad for you because there is an actual way to call a game, in my opinion, and I love the stories, but I want to hear the action of the game. So I'm going to say my second loser of the night is anybody who had to listen to the stories that just went on and on and on while we're scoring and plays are happening. There's a reason why we're tuning in, and it's not story time hour on PBS. So, and I forget, I had a number 3 too. Calhoun actually made me pick this up. The loser of the night, I'm going to say the Aggies defense. It wasn't
stellar.
It was kind of brutal. There was it seemed the last couple of games very crisp, if that is. But this was like that apple that you cut into that's just kind of mushy. It still does the job, Stockton, but
Well, so I'll point this out because this is something that I have pointed out in every box score so far. Utah State still scores 95. They still win by 12. The assist-to-turnover ratio is 9-12 for Utah State tonight. Drake Allen had 4 assists. Ian Martinez had 3 assists, and then 1 apiece for Jordy Barnes and Dayton Albury. Nobody else had an assist tonight, and there were 12 turnovers across the board. So not a very efficient system there at all, and that's what probably allows Montana to go on that, 15-3 run at the beginning of the second half. So got to be cleaner there, and to still be able to pull out the win by double digits in this situation is fantastic, and it shows the talent and the quality of this team when they are facing this kind of adversity. But yeah, you've got to be so much better with the ball, and you've got to be so much stronger on defense, because if they are going to drive into the middle like that, the part of that matchup zone is you have to just squeeze into the middle. If the shots aren't going to the perimeter, don't play that line so tight. Drop it in a little bit, and you've got to generate some fouls there as well. And I know that we did have a ton of fouls. Some of them probably weren't fouls, but yeah, you've got to be tougher in the key, specifically around those posts and those boxes on the sides where people like to kind of crash into the sides. Utah State, because they are not as big as they were last year, because they don't have that great Osabort center, people are going to go to the middle on them a lot more, and you've got to find a way to buck up and deal with that. But other than that, I think they played fantastic. You really got to move the ball smarter and stop throwing it away so many times.
435-554-1175 for the text line. We got a couple stacked up there. We'll get to you right after we come back from the break. Also, if you want to sound off and let us hear your beautiful voice, 435-753-5868. That's 753-KVNU. We'll be back with more Aggie Call, celebrating the Aggies' win over the Montana Grizzlies, 95-83. We'll be right back.
Wish we could turn back time to the good old days when the mama sang us to sleep, but now we're stressed out.
Hi, I'm Jay Broadbent with Alpine Home Medical. I'd like to invite you to learn more about us. Since 1997, we've been Utah's premier one-stop shop for home medical equipment. What sets us apart at Alpine Home Medical is the superior level of customer service. We provide home oxygen, CPAPs, wheelchairs, scooters, breast pumps, and so much more. Come on down and get to know us.
Alpine Home Medical, we bring wellness home.
Visit alpinehomemedical.com.
If you're thinking about getting engaged this holiday season, S.E. Needham Jewelers is a place to shop for your diamond engagement ring. S.E. Needham's has the largest selection of wedding rings in the area, including hundreds of styles in platinum, white gold, and yellow gold. We import diamonds direct from Antwerp, Belgium, which enables us to guarantee the best price on diamonds. We also offer the most complete warranty and services of any store in the state. Monday through Saturday, 10 to 7, where Utah gets engaged. S.E. Needham Jewelers, middle of the block, at the sign of the clock.
This is Jordan with Primrose Home Care and Hospice, and I'm here with Barbara. Barbara, how did you become acquainted with Primrose?
I had been trying to get another company to come and help me, and I had waited about 2 weeks, and I needed a bath. My neighbor suggested that she would make a few phone calls, and that very afternoon, Mark Stokes was sitting in my front room, and he said, "What do you need?"
Primrose Home Care and Hospice. We're your home team.
Advanced Heating and AC and Advanced Fireplace and Stove want to help local families this year with a food drive. Drop off your canned foods at Advanced Heating across from DI or hand them to one of their technicians when they come to your home for a repair. And to say thank you, the Advanced team will match all your contributions and offer a 20% discount on your next service call. Find out more at AdvancedFireplaceandStove.com or call 752-7272. Donate to Advanced Fireplace and Stove's canned food drive for local families.
We're not comfortable until you are. Advanced Heating and Air.
It's Aggie Call with J.D. Walker and Stockton Jukes. Call 435-753-KVNU or text 435-554-1175.
Welcome back to Aggie Calls, celebrating the A being blue tonight in Cache Valley. 95-83 over the Montana Grizzlies. Our Utah State Aggies took care of business tonight. You can join and be a part of the show right now by calling 753-5868. That's 753-KVNU. Or hit us up on the text line 554-1175. And that's where we start this segment out.
93-15, with your guys' experience, what did a game like tonight tell us or let us learn about this Aggies team? I think it's kind of what we were talking about with the previous two callers, where you get surprised by the physicality. There's maybe a lot more fouls than you expected. It gets closer than you expected. You let up some runs when that's not been the case so far this season. But they responded well to that adversity. They got hit in the mouth a couple times, like I said, and were able to hang in that game and then obviously still win it by double digits. So while obviously 100 points was the target there, a win is a win. There's no pictures on the scorecard, and you'll take that. It's obviously when you get to film study later this week going into that Kansas City trip on Friday, you're going to have to be pretty nitpicky about some of those defensive lapses, some of those turnovers, and really drill through those in practice this week. But I think as someone pointed out, I can't remember exactly who it was, but it's way better to learn those lessons now and still get that 12-point win than have to learn that lesson on the road in Iowa and lose that game by 30. So there's a lot that they can look back at and say, okay, this is a learning experience and we still got the win. We're still in a very great position at 4-0 and receiving AP votes. Let's just keep it rolling and keep learning from these kind of things.
I think hearing Coach Calhoun's interview post-game, he is definitely going to get into the team on defense. I mean, you could tell he was almost mortified by the team's defensive effort for the day, happy with the win, but also knowing that, this defense has to improve for that matchup with Iowa. So I imagine practice is going to be pretty intense the next couple of days leading up to that, neutral site location in the middle of a cornfield in Kansas that Iowa just has to take, the back of a tractor to ride down to. So, yeah, it's going to be one of those things that is going to be really tough this week in practice. I think that defense is going to get a lot of work.
Yeah, a couple more texts rolling in here. These next two are directed at you. JD5338 says, you're right. Dave Fox couldn't care less about what's happening on the floor. I don't think he's really into Utah State anyway. Yeah, I don't know. They just kind of don't seem too interested. It seems like
I'm not going to hit anything personal, knowing anything personal, anything. All I can tell you is that when I tune in to watch a game, I want to hear somebody call the game. I want to hear it. You know, Aggie is amazing at calling the girls' basketball games, the women's basketball games, and I can picture it in my head. I hate the fact that I'm watching it on TV and I'm hearing about stories or Kansas City barbecue that is not relevant to what's going on here in Cache Valley or with the Aggies or with the action in front. So that's my soapbox. I will now step down.
So I'm getting ready to call my 200th live broadcast this weekend, and I can't imagine not calling the actual game. Like that's kind of where I get hung up on. Is the stories are great. They're great pieces of information and
fit them in down times.
But yeah, they're being told at the totally wrong times, and you're getting these runs of score. You're getting 10 or 12 points go by, and the guys, it's almost like they haven't even looked up from the scoring table. So that is really frustrating. And when you have these local stations pick up these games opportunistically that are just on conference stations and stuff, like, if you're going to do it, then do it well, please. Yeah. It feels like more of a disservice than anything, like where the Mountain West could just run their normal stream with the KVNU audio like they have in the past, and it's been less of an issue at times. So
I was once told by a very wise man in radio when I first started that the music is, and in here the game would be the picture. You are just the little frame on the outside that helps bring it all together. And so with that, I'm stepping off my soapbox and giving it over to Jim, who's been patiently waiting to join us here on Aggie Call. What did you see tonight watching the Utah State Aggies defeat the Montana Grizzlies?
I thought it was a good game. They could have done a lot better, though. And I hate to do this, but I'm guessing they maybe shot about 25-30% on their free throws and everything, and they could have done a lot better, but they did good. But it wasn't the Aggie team that I'm used to seeing, and I just don't know what was up with their game tonight, if you get what I'm saying, and I hope I'm correct if that, and they could have done a lot better, and they didn't play as hard as I'm used to them playing, and they weren't the team that I've grown up watching my entire life.
Yeah, it's a good chance that they underestimated this Montana team. That seems to be the point that Calhoun was trying to get across at the end of that broadcast, is when he was saying, like, I warned these guys about this team, it just sounds like they didn't really heed that warning. Still pulled it out and everything, but they did get outshot from the field. Montana hit 52% of their shots, and Utah State only hit 50%. It was 32-62 to 29-58. And then from the free throw line, because of Ian Martinez is 16 for 16, they did end up shooting about 78% as a team. But Templin obviously being sub 50% from the line, that's something you got to look at. Dexter Acano did go 6 for 6 from the line, though, so that's good contribution. Free throw shooting, though, if it's sub 80%, that's always something that you got to be looking at, because those are just free points that you're leaving on the table, and that actually ends up killing Montana tonight, where they go 11 from 20 from the stripe and only shoot 55% from free throws. If they have those 9 points they leave on the table, then we have a ball game at the end of this. It's a 3-point game, and they might be in, foul and clock management territory. But yeah, it wasn't quite there. It definitely wasn't on pace with what we saw in those first 3 games. That said, I will echo, you're in a pretty good spot when a 95-point double-digit win is a subpar game. So they'll learn, they'll progress. They've shown the talent and the desire to be a really good team this year, and I think that they'll learn what they need to by the time they go on the road. It could be a little bit of a shock to go on the road for the first time this season, but hopefully Calhoun's going to have them mentally ready for that.
Since Stockton is all optimistic today, then I feel like I need to turn to the dark side a little bit here. Here's why this win is not impressive for me. The Grizzlies out-rebounded the Aggies 37-33 and assists 15-9. We did beat them at steals 11-6, but 7 blocks to 3 blocks. I'm looking at those rebound numbers and those block numbers, Stockton, and I think there's some tape now that other teams, future opponents, are going to look at and say, uh-oh, here's a little sneaky trick that we can work on these Aggies.
It's actually, I pointed that out while you were taking our first phone call of the show, so you didn't hear me because you had your headset off, but I was talking about that rebounding battle because we mentioned it in the pregame show where Utah State, when it comes to recruiting, when it comes to the transfer portal, they're going to be looking for height. They're going to be looking for guys that can help on the defensive glass because it's not been their strength this year. Rebounding has been an issue as well as some of their free throw shooting. Obviously, the passing tonight was not great. The assist-to-turnover ratio tells you everything you need to know on that front. So I agree. Not an impressive win at all, and I don't think I used the word impressive because it wasn't by any means, but I can't get too mad about it because it's a 12-point win.
Yeah, we're honestly at the end of the day nitpicking.
But that's what you got to do if you're a really good team, especially if you're going to go on the road against a Big Ten squad like Iowa. You've got to get nitpicky, and I think they will get nitpicky this week on defense, and especially in film study.
We'll head back to the text line just here in a second. 435-554-1175 if you want to hit that text line. That's 554-1175. Or give us a call, 753-5868. That's 753-KVNU. We'll go back to the text line.
13-26, we really missed Abin Gadaretsi today. Our defense would have been different with him available. Also, Isaac Johnson needs to follow his shots. I think a lot of the issue with Utah State's rebounding is that guys do not follow their shots. It's kind of fundamental basketball. We've all been yelled at by a coach before to follow your shot because you were showboating a little bit, trying to hit a Steph Curry pose, and it clanged off the rim and went out of bounds, and you could have had the rebound if you followed it, but you didn't. So I agree there. You got to be a little more tenacious when you're getting after the ball, especially after you realize how physical of a game it's going to be. You got to get up there and go get that ball. But yeah, with Gadaretsi too, I have a hard time playing the coulda, woulda, shoulda game after things like this, where you say, oh well, if we had this guy in, the defense would have looked better. Possibly. And I do like what we've seen out of him. I like the length and the reach that you get out of Gadaretsi. I do think they did enough tonight. But again, they are going to get nitpicky this week, and they should. So
go into the phone lines again to join us. James, thank you for calling Aggie Call.
Hi, JD Stockton. It was a good win. Anytime you can win by 12 points, I agree. And to your point, there's some things they'll have to work on. But I liked what you said earlier, Stockton. We needed a test, right? We needed an athletic team that would test us so that we could see, to your point, it gives the coach this week really an opportunity to break down some of the weak parts and really get them prepared for this game coming up. Really impressed with Mason and Ian. I mean, I think they scored over half the points for the team tonight. So, always take a win and look for the opportunities to improve and some of those things that we can continue to get better. But always take a win.
KVN.
Hello. Hey, I just wanted to mention, in the game, as I was watching, I noticed it was probably halfway through the second half, there were only about 4 assists. It seemed like they weren't passing it around like they normally do. So I thought, I think that's a good test. They still got out with a win, but I think it was a good thing to happen, in Montana instead of at the end of the week against Iowa.
Yeah, absolutely. Sorry to that previous caller. We'll get to those points here in a second. Our phone system just kind of glitched out. It was weird.
Here's the problem, James. If you're listening right now, I've got this cool new system that they've got me. It's really easy to work. You have to be a bonehead to mess it up, but I push the big red button. So, Mark, you're now on the air with us for Aggie Call.
Oh, okay. Yeah, did you hear what I said earlier?
Yeah, we did. I was just resetting it a little bit because we kind of just jumped in there. But I like your points, Mark. Who stood out to you tonight? Did anybody surprise you looking at the final box score? Did anybody surprise you on the play tonight for our Aggies?
Good or bad?
I haven't seen the box score. I haven't looked at the actual box score, at the end of the game. I thought, a lot of I thought they played well. For the most part, except they weren't sharing it. A lot of times the players seemed like they were just driving in and, trying to throw something up instead of dumping it off or, passing it out.
Yep.
That was kind of what I noticed.
Yeah, no, I agree. And that's where we look at the assist to turnover ratio in that box score. It was 9-12 tonight because they're A, not sharing the ball, and B, making bad passes. So you hit the nail on the head there with just the assists are not where they normally need to be, because if you look at what this team is averaging per game going into this, they were averaging almost 27 assists per game. So a third of that output tonight. definitely stuff to watch in film study. And then I want to go back to our previous caller as well, James, who made the point of, we needed to get hit physically a couple times. I agree, because we had such a size differential in the positives for Utah State in those first 3 games that they were able to really take advantage of that down low. And we saw that a lot with Carson Templin kind of bullying people on the block. He continued to do that tonight against a really physical team, and he had those 12 points, and I think he's going to have a breakout season and continue to just be a consistent scorer for this team. But the physical matchup took him by surprise and probably did contribute a lot to the lack of assists and the excessive turnovers because of just the unexpectedness of that physicality and the rebound battle, 100%.
So we're going to take one last break, come back with our final thoughts, give a little preview on Iowa, also get to some of the texts that are still coming in. You can sound off right now on Aggie Call. Locker 42, a story for Aggie fans by Aggie fans. And Aggie Call brought to you by Cash Equipment, home for your Kubota tractors and equipment, and Triton Medical Supply and Transportation, a partner for your medical needs. We'll be back with our final segment coming up next on KVNU Aggie Call.
Hi, I'm Jay Broadbent with Alpine Home Medical. I'd like to invite you to learn more about us. Since 1997, we've been Utah's premier one-stop shop for home medical equipment. What sets us apart at Alpine Home Medical is the superior level of customer service. We provide home oxygen, CPAPs, wheelchairs, scooters, breast pumps, and so much more. Come on down and get to know us.
Alpine Home Medical, we bring wellness home.
Visit alpinehomemedical.com.
This Thanksgiving, join us at Elements Restaurant for a truly classic dining experience. Elements chefs are crafting a magnificent Thanksgiving dinner that includes succulent turkey with sage gravy, creamy whipped garlic potatoes and sweet potatoes, savory cornbread dressing, green beans, and fresh baked warm rolls. And don't forget the mouthwatering desserts, including pumpkin and pecan pie. Why slave away in the kitchen when you can relax with your loved ones and savor the flavors of the season at Elements Restaurant? Open Thanksgiving from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. Call now for reservations, 752-5171.
Advanced Heating and AC and Advanced Fireplace and Stove want to help local families this year with a food drive. Drop off your canned foods at Advanced Heating across from DI or hand them to one of their technicians when they come to your home for a repair. And to say thank you, the Advanced team will match all your contributions and offer a 20% discount on your next service call. Find out more at advancedfireplaceandstove.com or call 752-7272. Donate to Advanced Fireplace and Stove's canned food drive for local families.
We're not comfortable until you are. Advanced Heating and Air.
Ski season is coming, which means Season Ski Rentals. This is Mark at the Sportsman, where we have over 20 years of season ski rental experience. We rent to kids and adults. Come in to get season ski rentals for your entire family. We like to wait a little later in the fall because there is a chance your kids might grow out of their boots by the time ski season actually rolls around. Starting at $69.99, you will get the right gear for your kids to ski this year at the Sportsman on Main Street in downtown Logan with tons of parking in the back.
This Utah State Aggie broadcast is brought to you by Les Olson IT, providing managed IT services to business throughout Utah on News Talk KVNU.
Welcome back to KVNU Aggie Game Day for our final segment here as we wrap up the Aggies win over the Montana Grizzlies, 95-83. Hitting the text line real quick. What do we got, Stockton?
We've got 3 more rolling in here. We'll try and motorboat through these really quick. 92-27. Is there ever a chance that the Aggies have a situation for man-to-man defense? I don't know. I think that'll just depend on a game situation. If Calhoun feels like that's best to rotate over to a man, then I'm sure that's something that he'll be able to see and implement. For now, though, I think the matchup zone they've been playing, while they did get kind of bullied physically tonight, I think they've got enough that they can learn from and stick to that matchup zone for now. But you've got to be ready to flex, and you've got to be ready to adapt into stuff like that. And man defense is one of the basics of basketball. So it's pretty easy to shift your team into man if you need to and just assign people to guys. But I don't see that happening off the tip-off anytime soon. It would just have to basically be necessitated by the flow of the game. Moving on to 0783, win or losing Kansas City. It's good the Iowa game was scheduled. That's the kind of arena NCAA games are played in, so the experience is good. Yeah, no, it's good to get out on the road against a really quality team, because at the end of the season, when people are looking at your resume, whether that is a win or lose, if Iowa does have a good season, it's a Power 4 team, it's a quad 1 win or loss, and that's good for your net, whatever it is. That's good for however they calculate those rankings. So it's a great schedule game to have on there, and I hope that Utah State, going into next season, as much as I love having these first 4 games at home and being able to blow opponents out, I'd love to see them play tougher teams next year and build a resume earlier on, because as good as the Mountain West is as a basketball conference, it is still viewed as a group of 5 conference, because that's what it is. So you've got to really set yourself apart in the non-conference season.
Going to 93.15, do you guys know what the T was called for? I'm not quite. I'm
not sure. I didn't quite see it when it happened.
There was questionable officiating the whole time. It was just like, you want to throw a flag? You want to throw a flag? You want to throw a flag? Like, if this was a football game, we'd still be, in the game picking up the laundry on the field.
There were more personal fouls than there were minutes in the game tonight. So
it was crazy how that went. Real quick before we head on out, looking at Utah State's matchup against Iowa, both teams 4-0. The early predictive matchup to ESPN Analytics says the Aggies got a 62% chance to win over Iowa. Right now, just running you some stats across the line, USU scoring about 20 points more than Iowa is. Points allowed per game, the Aggies allowing about 14 less. The Aggies are winning in field goal percentage, rebounds, assists. The only one they're not winning in, blocks. 3 a game to 5.5 a game, so might have to watch that. And the Aggies, this is a crazy statistic, Stockton. 4 games into the season, the Aggies are averaging 13 steals per game.
I believe this is just through 3 games. I don't think ESPN has updated their stats through that 4th game yet.
Oh, it says 4-game winning streak on here.
It does, but then if you look down here, the 107 average points per game, that's the first 3 games combined.
Oh, come on. Stop raining on my parade.
I'm just trying to be honest here. If we look at Utah State's steal count tonight, it was 11, so they're still going to be up there in the average, but it is going to come down to probably about 12 per game now.
Man, here I was just riding high on this stat thing, and Stockton comes down with this sledgehammer of reality.
If this is the most pessimistic I get tonight, then you're welcome.
So that game going to be taking place coming up this Friday. I think Aggie Game Day starts at 5 o'clock. Me and Stockton will be with you. And then we also have Aggie Game Day 11:30 coming up on Saturday as we take on San Diego State, right? And then coming up this Friday, we take on Iowa. There's a full week of sports here, and we'll get you caught up on all the recruiting news as we got Coach Dreiling talking a little bit earlier today as we get ready on the way out here that we have signed 12 in-state prospects. A couple of great ones. One of them just ranked a 3-star by 24/7 today, and he's a 6'9" offensive tackle. So getting some size on that offensive line for our Aggies. But celebrating tonight in Cache Valley, the A is blue. The Aggies pick up the win 95-83 over the Montana Grizzlies. That's going to wrap it up for us tonight. For Stockton Jukes, I'm J.D. Walker. Thank you for allowing us to do radio in the best place on earth, Cache Valley. Have a good night.
Utah State broadcast has been a presentation of News Talk KVNU and the Cache Valley Media Group, the heritage home for the Aggies.